The War Cabinet has voted unanimously to approve new guidelines for the Israeli negotiating team to renew talks for the return of hostages. Egyptian mediators are reportedly testing the waters to try to restart the stalled indirect talks between Israel and Hamas. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
Reports from the War Cabinet did not give away details except to say that Israeli negotiators have been given the green light to continue talks for the return of the 128 hostages held captive in Gaza since October 7th. The War Cabinet decision comes amid reports in the Egyptian media that Egyptian mediators are testing the waters to see if they can restart indirect talks between Israel and Hamas on reaching a hostage for truce deal. An Egyptian source was quoted saying that contacts are being made with all active partners. This despite a lack of progress in recent weeks and friction between Israel and Egypt over the ongoing Rafah operation. It's also after Egypt had reportedly altered the previous hostage deal after Israel had already signed it. The meeting of the War Cabinet was held after the families of hostages released harrowing footage showing the abduction of 5 female soldiers from the Nahal Oz base by Hamas terrorists on October 7th. They say that their goal in releasing the video was to wake up the leadership to work more urgently to secure the hostages' release.
My daughter and the other 6 girls were the only ones that were survived in this attack, and this film was taken after they saw a lot of her friends that was murdered there, and they were lying there in front of them.
The video struck a responsive chord with the Israeli public and served as a reminder that the hostages have been held for 230 days.
So I'm saying that really every minute that my daughter could avoid this situation and terrified of being raped or sexually abused, or I just want everyone do whatever they can to bring her home.
Well, after Israel announces willingness to return to hostage negotiations, the families of hostages still in Gaza are waiting with bated breath to see their loved ones come home. One of those families is that of Simona Steinbrecher, the 30-year-old Israeli nurse who was kidnapped and is still being held hostage by Hamas. Doron's mother, Simona, joins us now to discuss the situation. Simona, first of all, thank you so much for joining us at this very difficult time. Can you share with us the latest information about Doron's status in Gaza? What do you know?
I don't know a lot. From the people who came from Gaza, no one saw her. And in a day of 107 days, Hamas sent us a movie. And that movie, you can see it. Here is Doron in the movie that Hamas sent to us. And this is Doron in the day they take her. You can see the difference,
of course,
between 2 pictures, 2 photos, to see how she's looking. Here, how skin, how ill she looking. She need to take medicine every day, and they don't give her properly. So we are very afraid about what happened with her in Gaza.
And you haven't heard any updates since that video, correct?
Nothing.
Wow. What are your thoughts on the hostage negotiations? Are you and the other families feeling hopeful about these round of talks?
I saw yesterday with everyone the movie, what the Hamas do to the young people from they cut yesterday. Yeah, this movie. And I don't know if people heard, but one of the things that the Hamas said, one to each other, this is the girl that can be pregnant. And we are really, really afraid about our women there, what happened with them. And we cry not only from now, we cry from the beginning that they need to take them very quickly outside before they can be pregnant there. And now take a teacher for and that. And now we heard the Hamas say the same words that we are afraid about what happened there.
Do you think that after the release of this horrible video that the government is taking this issue more seriously? Has this inspired them to take action and to find a deal?
I really hope, because they don't have time, not only there, all the hostages don't have time. The time is going out for them. They are 230 days there. It's a lot. It's more than 7 months. I don't know how people can wake up, go to sleep, and don't take them out. It must to do not now, many months ago.
Now, we've seen that in the international community, there's a lot of focus on Gaza, on the Palestinians, and less on the release of hostages like Doron. What would you like the international community to know and to hear on behalf of Doron?
I think that the people who saw the news saw the things that Hamas sent them and tell them. But this is not the real story about what happened there. First of all, they all the time say that there isn't food there. The reason food there is because the Hamas who killed the Palestinian people who came to take the picture, to take the food. Sorry, I saw the picture who came to take the food, they killed them and don't let them to take the food. So the reason that there is no food there, it's not because Israel don't let it. It's because the Hamas who killed them.
Absolutely.
And the Hamas killed their one people. So I think the world don't know really what happened. They saw only the picture and the story that the Hamas send them to see, but it's not the real picture. And we need all the time to show really what happened there for them people in Gaza too, because they are like hostages. They're there from Hamas people. So we need to do all for us and for them and for all the hostages there to make a deal and take it out, and that they can go out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Simona. Wishing you all the best, and we will continue to hope and pray for the release of Doron along with all of the hostages. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Israel Bonds, the heartbeat of solidarity, the powerhouse of support. When the Hamas-Israel war hit, Israel Bonds stood tall, proving we're more than just an investment, we're a lifeline. Investing in Israel Bonds isn't just a financial move, it's a declaration for resilience, strength, and a better future for Israel. Join us and let solidarity echo through generations.
Day 230 of the war in Gaza, and the IDF is still advancing in Rafah and along the Philadelphi route after the most intense night of bombing since the start of the Rafah offensive earlier this month. The IDF announced the deaths of 3 soldiers in fighting in northern Gaza, and ILTV's Steve Leibowitz has more.
Israeli tanks advanced to the edge of a district in the heart of Rafah, in the Strip south, following the most intense night of bombardment since the start of the Rafah offensive earlier this month. At the same time, more than half of the strategic 14-kilometer-long Philadelphi route along the Egyptian border is now under IDF control. Soldiers located and destroyed multi-barrel rocket launchers located along the Philadelphi corridor close to the border. The Army has said that it located dozens of tunnel shafts and a number of significant underground routes in the eastern Rafah area that are currently being prepared to be demolished. The Army has not detailed how many of the tunnels cross into Egypt. In the past, Hamas used such tunnels to smuggle in weapons and supplies. Meanwhile, the IDF announced the deaths of 3 soldiers killed during clashes with Hamas gunmen in northern Gaza. The deaths came as the Netzach Yehuda Battalion and other IDF forces conducted pinpoint raids in northern Gaza's Beit Hanun, where terrorists emerged. The IDF has carried out several operations in Beit Hanun since it was first captured in the initial ground offensive last year. Troops are continuing to work to kill remaining gunmen and locate tunnels and other infrastructure used by the terror groups. The latest deaths brought the toll of slain troops in the IDF's ground offensive against Hamas and during operations along the Gaza border to 286.
Israel responds to the recognition of a Palestinian state by several countries, stating it rewards terror. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu responded to the recognition of a Palestinian state by Ireland, Spain, and Norway with harsh condemnation, stating the move rewards terror.
הכוונה של מספר מדינות באירופה להכיר במדינה פלסטינית היא פרס לטרור. 80% מהפלסטינים ביהודה ושומרון תומכים בטבח הנורא של 7 באוקטובר. לרוע הזה אסור לתת מדינה. זאת תהיה מדינת טרור, היא תנסה לבצע שוב ושוב את הטבח של 7 באוקטובר, ולזה לא נסכים. פרס לטרור לא יביא שלום, והוא גם לא יעצור אותנו מלנצח את החמאס.
Israeli Minister of National Security Itamar Ben-Gvir also condemned the statehood recognition, calling it a prize to murderers. European leaders came out against the move, with Germany stating a political solution is what's needed and not symbolism.
Für eine Lösung dieser furchtbaren Situation, die wir gerade erleben müssen, da braucht es eben keine symbolische Anerkennung, sondern da braucht es eine politische Lösung. Für eine Lösung des Nahostkonflikts und für die Zwei-Staaten-Lösung braucht es direkte Verhandlungen auf beiden Seiten.
Agreeing with Germany, President Biden also stated on Wednesday that only through direct negotiations can a two-state solution be achieved. While unilateral statehood recognition has little impact on the ground, Israeli officials have expressed concern about it becoming a trend that's not helpful for the advancement of peace. If Israel cooperates, the United States and Saudi Arabia could be very close to an agreement for security and defense cooperation, which are part of a wider normalization deal with Riyadh and Israel. That was the message of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to U.S. Congress. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz has more.
Secretary Blinken told Congress the United States and Saudi Arabia were very close to concluding a set of agreements on nuclear energy, security, and defense cooperation, which are part of a wider normalization deal with Riyadh and Israel.
And this goes back well before October 7th, working with Saudi Arabia and with Israel to pursue normalization between the two countries. This would be a game changer. It would be the first time that Israel has normalized relations with the largest Arab and Muslim country in the world in terms of its significance, and it would reshape the region and well beyond.
Blinken said that the finalizing of the agreements could be only weeks away, but cautioned that for the wider normalization to proceed, there must be calm in Gaza and the formulation of a pathway for Palestinian statehood. He told Congress he was unsure about Israeli cooperation.
Until now, this has been a hypothetical or theoretical question for Israel. Assuming we complete the agreements between the United States and Saudi Arabia, that hypothetical or theoretical question becomes a real question that they will have to answer one way or another.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said this week that there will be no Saudi normalization if the cost is rewarding terror with a Palestinian state.
Israel has made its case clear when it comes to Palestinian statehood, but is also actively seeking normalization with all its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia. Here to speak with us about the challenges ahead on both fronts is Aria Lightstone, the former senior advisor to the U.S. ambassador to Israel. Aria, thank you for joining us. Just to start, what can you tell us about the demands that Saudi Arabia is putting on Israel? Is Palestinian statehood really a non-negotiable demand from Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think let's take one step further back, if that's okay. When negotiations happen publicly, they're destined to fail. The Middle East has a lot of people who are motivated to make sure that peace does not happen. And the more public thoughts that are out there and public negotiations that happen, the easier it is for those people who wish peace to not succeed to torpedo those negotiations is that. So I have not been in the room with the current Saudi administration, with the current U.S. administration, but I would tell you this, I'm yet to see a successful foreign policy initiative by this administration. I'd be shocked if this became their first one.
Now, what is your take on this statehood recognition by Ireland, Spain, and Norway? Just how damaging is this move, politically speaking?
Well, I challenge people to name the capitals of Norway, Ireland, and Spain. They are as relevant as people allow them to be relevant. It is counterproductive. It is virtue signaling is what it is. It doesn't help the Palestinian people. It certainly doesn't help Israel. And it should be condemned by people who want to be forthright about condemnation, the same way the ICC and the ICJ should be condemned. The challenge is we have a lot of people who are doing performative actions without any actual substance, and it's taking everything backwards.
Now, do you believe that this push for Palestinian statehood could actually be pushing away a permanent solution, that it's rewarding terror, as Netanyahu has mentioned explicitly?
Well, it's doing a bunch of different things. It's turning Hamas into heroes. I'm not positive who wants to turn Hamas into heroes unless you're on an Ivy League campus in the United States of America. I'm not positive why it brings Hamas to the negotiating table, because they're getting everything by staying away from the negotiating table. And frankly, if anybody actually cared about the Palestinians, of which I'm highly skeptical that people outside of the state of Israel actually care about the Palestinians, they would be rooting for the complete and total elimination of Hamas and then a discussion about what can happen the day afterwards. But to go ahead and to declare a Palestinian state, who's running it, what are the borders, what are the rules that are there, and until people actually figure out any of those things, all it is a waste of language. And the problem is, in international diplomacy, language matters. So who's going to take any of these people seriously on a go-forward basis?
Now, you've mentioned that you don't believe the negotiations with Saudi would be successful at this point, at least under the Biden administration. Is there a scenario in which you believe this normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia could actually come to fruition, and in what circumstance?
Oh, the Saudis and Israelis will make peace at some point in time. To a great degree, it's will the United States of America get out of the way. You have an issue. Saudi Arabia is, I think, one of the most impressive kingdoms on this planet. And I would argue that the Crown Prince, His Royal Highness, Mohammed bin Salman, is one of the most consequential human beings alive on the planet. That does not make him perfect, but it makes it the endeavor that he has to change the way the kingdom looks from before he got there to what he'd like it to look like in the future is one of the most consequential activities that's happening today on planet Earth. At the same time, the state of Israel is a living miracle of what it looked like before 1948 and what it looks like today. Will these two countries be better off together? They absolutely will be. Will these two countries have a relationship that's based upon either of their relationships with the Palestinians and have a chance of success? Absolutely not. So what are we trying to accomplish here? Peace, or we're trying to accomplish aggravation?
Great question. Well, Aryeh Lightstone, we are out of time, but I want to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights.
Thank you.
In a rare show of unity, organizations from across the religious and political spectrum expressed support for a House bill to create a czar who will lead government efforts to combat Jew hatred in the United States. More than 60 U.S. Jewish organizations from across the political spectrum have lined up to support a bill in Congress to establish a coordinator of government efforts to fight against anti-Semitism. The joint effort was an expression of American Jewish political solidarity not seen in years and included Reform, Conservative, Modern Orthodox, and Ultra-Orthodox groups. It included a range of Jewish political groups from J Street on the left to the Zionist Organization of America on the right. The list includes organizational leaders who rarely share the same stage and who have even accused each other at times of enabling anti-Semitism. The letter sent to House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries highlights the united and deep concern over the rising incidence of anti-Semitism in this country. And now, if you're not a new subscriber, you may remember the Hebrew word of the week, where each week, along with eTeacher, we learn a new Hebrew word and relate it to the Bible, current affairs, and our everyday lives. For more info on the Rosen School of Hebrew, please scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description. We're back with a new set of relevant words, but first, let's see what we've already learned.
Welcome to Hebrew Word of the Week. I'm Ariella, and in this segment, together with eTeacher, we explore the beauty and depth of the Hebrew language. We'll learn a new Hebrew word or phrase and see how it's used in the Bible, current events, and everyday life. Let's dive into today's Hebrew word, chadashot, which means news. This word is essential in our fast-paced world as it represents the latest updates and events that shape our understanding of the world around us. The The word chadashot encompasses a wide range of topics, including current events, updates, and reports on various subjects. In modern Hebrew, staying informed with the chadashot is crucial in our fast-paced world. It helps us stay connected and aware of what's happening locally and globally. Here are some examples of how the word chadashot is used in a sentence. אני רואה את החדשות כל בוקר, which means I watch the news every morning. החדשות מספקות מידע עדכני על אירועים בעולם. The news provides up-to-date information about events worldwide. So if you're interested in learning more about the Hebrew language, check out eTeacher. This online and live course is the most established Hebrew language instruction institution. You can learn with a time-proven method for every level or start from scratch. eTeacher offers dynamic online courses with live video lessons, weekly webinars, and ample support, which allows you to connect to a lively global community for an enriched learning experience. Click the link below and visit the eTeacher website today to learn more.
The Israel Antiquities Authority discovered a Byzantine period church with ship drawings on its walls in the northern Negev, south of Rafah. This find, revealing settlement history from the Byzantine to early Islamic periods, will be presented at the Rafah conference on June 4th. ILTV's Mayan Hoffman has more.
The Israel Antiquities Authority discovered a Byzantine period church with wall art depicting ships in the northern Negev. The find was made south of Rafah during an excavation for a new neighborhood for Bedouin residents, funded by the Authority for Development and Settlement of the Bedouin in the Negev. The authority has been working on these excavations for several years. The researchers explain that the site reveals the history of settlement in the northern Negev from the end of the Byzantine period to the early Islamic period. Pilgrims visited the church and left ship drawings on its walls. While the ship is an old Christian symbol, these drawings seem to depict the actual ships the pilgrims used to travel to the Holy Land.
האתר שימש ככל הנראה אתר חנייה או עלייה לרגל של צליינים נוצרים שהגיעו לארץ ישראל בשייט אל נמל עזה או אל נמל אשקלון הסמוך, ובדרכם לתוך הארץ חנו ברהט, פקדו את הכנסייה ומכאן המשיכו לאתרי הצליינות הקדושים בהר הנגב, בסיני או בירושלים.
The discovery will be publicly presented for the first time at a local conference on Tuesday, June 4th, showcasing the historical findings from the area to international experts.
Let's take a look at the weather forecast. Clear skies are expected tonight around the country, with temperatures reaching lows of around 19 degrees Celsius or 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow, partly cloudy skies are expected alongside warm temperatures reaching highs of around 28 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Mostly clear skies and consistent temperatures are expected for the rest of the weekend. That's all for today's news. For more updates from Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channels, subscribe to our ILTV newsletter, and don't forget to check out our website, iltv.tv, with all the latest news from the heart of the State of Israel. I'm Emily Schrader. Be well, and thank you for watching.